Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the 2022 film by Canadian filmmaker Chandler Levack, I Like Movies. And the film was created in areas around the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, a place that I know very well myself. So a lot of the locations looked familiar, just the overall vibe, the lifestyle, and a lot of the references were definitely catered towards Canadian film snobs. Yeah, it's hitting a little close to home, catering to Canadian film snobs while making fun of them at the same time. Because I mean, yeah, it's about our main character here, Lawrence, and he is a self-proclaimed film snob himself. He says many times, "I like movies," and the whole movie is about him debating what university he's gonna go to because he really wants to go to the New York Tisch School, which is very prestigious, and he is opposed to going to Canadian universities such as Ryerson and Carleton. And they discuss this at length. And I feel like many other audiences that are not me will not have understood those references, or, yeah, like you said, it wouldn't have hit as close to home because, I mean, yeah, I did that as well. I went to university for film, had those thoughts, debated between the pros and cons between different universities and everything. And there's a lot of film talk in it, a lot of name drops, and a lot of references. There's some Shrek slander in the movie, which is like, okay, Shrek is wonderful. But I think that reading like the Letterboxd comments here and just like talking to some people about it, it's just the way that it's so meta that people are talking about this movie and the way it hits close to home specifically for like the Letterboxd community, which I feel like I don't really post on Letterboxd. I just like rate my reviews, make a few lists. But I do read through the comments often, and I guess that I do this as well. So I am, saying my thoughts, expressing them in some sort of way. And it's just so funny to see the discourse and like the culture that was made, like the Letterboxd culture specifically, how it can feel like a little pretentious and snobby, which it is at some points, but again, that's not really necessarily a bad thing. But our main character is kind of just like the personification in that. Yes, I believe it's 2003 because there's a very big plot point, or just it looms over that Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson's movie, is coming out in theaters, and that's a really big event in his life. Yeah, VHSs, also CDRs, yes. So 2003. I think they did a really good job at that vibe. I mean, it was in 4:3. And I mean, I just think movies look better in 4:3 personally. That's my pretentious, film guy coming out. But no, yeah, it was a fun vibe to be transported back to 2003. I feel like a lot of movies, when they're trying to be like old fashioned, you might get like period pieces, and they're from like the 80s, or even before that. And the 2000s it was like new enough that we haven't had too many like throwbacks. But now like the nostalgia of the 2000s has like made itself what it is at this point. And so yeah, I think it worked really well. I can't believe blank invented cinema. Every Letterboxd reviewer ever. It's true. Man, and like the amount of quotes in this movie that could be like a Letterboxd comment is just unimaginable. And I'm sure that like all of the comments here on Letterboxd are just like a bunch of quotes from the movie. So let's just go through a few here. Kind of like Licorice Pizza for people who want to kill themselves. That was a plot point. I won't elaborate, but it makes a lot of sense in the context of the movie. Well, the first one here is actually from the filmmaker, who is seemingly a Letterboxd user themselves. So, there was that. Definitely knows the community well enough then. Yeah, movie was made specifically for you losers here on Letterboxd. Yep, that is very true. Ladybird comparison, very true as well. Let's see, anything else? Yep, I also prefer Goodfellas over Jerking Off. That is a plot point in the movie as well. I will not elaborate. Yep, again, gotta get that in there. It's like every Letterboxd user wants to have this like quippy and witty comeback that flexes their knowledge of cinema, and that's just perfectly embodied of him. That is what he wants to do the most in life. The film is a giant self-insert for the director. Yeah, kind of. I mean, clearly we don't know exactly like how she was brought up and everything, and she seems pretty cool from what I've seen from her, And yeah, she's been at TIFF, and my friends have said nice things about her. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like if you're in the community, sometimes you'll know a person, or you might identify as yourself as some of those traits. And I think it's like a culmination of all of those. So no, it worked. It worked really well. It worked so well. Let's see, anything else here? Oh, getting Final Cut Pro for her birthday is so sick. It's true. Man, these are just like, it's hard to pinpoint. These are just such, like, these are the comments that I absolutely expected. I agree with this comment here as well. And I'll kind of segue into this. He's not likable enough to get away with that behavior. And he's not likable, like, at all. He does not have, like, any redeeming qualities. Yeah, he doesn't have, like, any redeeming qualities. And it's like, yes, he's supposed to be annoying. Yes, he is the personification of, you know, annoying film bro nerds who just talk about movies all the time, and that's their whole personality. Like, they do build up that, you know, he has a rough life sometimes. There's some things that happened in the past that, you know, didn't go his way. And there's always those characters that are created in media that are like the ones that don't understand social cues. And he's like, he's that guy. He, you know, he's the outcast, self-proclaimed. They make it very clear at the beginning of the movie that, oh, I don't go to parties. I like movies. That should be the log line. I don't go to parties. I like movies. I mean, I guess it is the title, so, you know. But he really is just like, you're never on his side for like anything. Whenever he gets into an argument with somebody, it's him overreacting. And he is full of himself. He is a narcissist, which other people do point out very clearly. And it's a tough thing to say if I like it or not, because sometimes just watching a movie, it's just like unpleasant sometimes because he's so annoying. But it makes sense that he is going through this, and he does grow at the end very clearly. The last scene's pretty good, and it kind of does make everything make sense. But like, he was just like over the top, which again, it makes sense in the story. The conflicts that arose make sense. He's the embodiment of this kind of culture, and he is his own demise, and he needs to learn from his mistakes. But again, sometimes it's just like unpleasant to watch. Not in the like awkward, uncomfortable way, which there is a few times which I think work well, but it's just like, just out of the blue, he'll like get mad at somebody, or just like some of the conversations that he has are just like maybe a little too artificial. But that is to say, at the same time, I find it funny just like talking about this movie and analyzing it, because it is so meta, and I'm like trying to analyze this one character trait about him. Oh, did I really enjoy it? Did it make sense and everything? And the whole movie is just a big slap to the face to anybody who talks about movies or anybody who reviews movies. Because, again, a lot of people who do talk about movies and do review movies do want to make movies as well, myself included. And it's like you're talking about these nitpicky things, and they're the one who made the movie. They went through this whole process. I'm sure it took a very long time to get it made. It's a passion project, and they got it done. They actually did the thing. They made the movie. And then people just sit around and be like, oh, yeah, he was a bit annoying. He was a bit maybe a little unrealistic because of how annoying he was, you know. He seems pretty rude, dissing his manager, working there for 4 years. Yeah, exactly. It's like on his first shift, he comes in and he's like, I'm not going to do this the way you want me to. I'm going to talk about real cinema instead of Shrek. And they make a point. There's a line in the movie where one of the guys is like, oh, have you never had a job before? Do you like not understand how this works? And like everyone, okay, I think also part of it, not just him being annoying, it's like everyone treats him with way too much sympathy. Everyone else is just like too nice. It's like the manager does explode on him at one point, and his mom, you know, gets a bit mad, but like everybody puts up with him like a little too much. Like there are points where people get mad at him, but like he comes in, it's like they shouldn't have given him the job in the first place. They come in, he comes into his job and he says that. It's just like, man, she should have told him to go clean the toilets. Yeah, maybe. But I think that's, yes, he is the center of the movie. He's in like every scene. He's a great actor. He was really funny. He was a funny guy. I think that Romina Dugo, who plays Alana, she was the best character in the movie. She was the best character in the movie. She was great. And yeah, a bunch of her stuff and her storyline with him, what they go through, I thought that worked pretty well. Because I feel like the overarching story is him, growing as a person, coming of age, and wanting to go to university, that being very stressful. But his storyline with her, I think, was the most emotional, the most, I don't want to say real, but it felt most natural, and it just showed the depth to their characters. They brought out the depth in each character's the best. I think even better than his relationship with his mother. It is ironic that knowing lots about cinema makes you feel less suitable for working in a video shop. Yeah, I mean, that definitely is for this specific movie, yes. And I mean, I guess in real life, thinking about it, I mean, video shops, there are a few. I know there's a secondhand video shop. It's a movie and music store. And yeah, there are people who work there. And it's great. I love going to it. But I guess if somebody's so snobby about something and they're trying to sell it to somebody who maybe is less snobby about it, less into it, they're just trying something to spend a night, just watch a quick movie, which there's also a funny scene in this movie where before he gets hired, he pretends to be an employee and he walks up to somebody and he's like, yes. Oh, no, instead of that movie, you should watch this movie. And it was called Happiness. I don't know if you guys know that movie, but it's I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it from one of my film snob friends. It's a little depressing, but yeah, it's trying to sell it just to the every person, despite artistic value or your own perceived. Remember Mammoth movies? I don't remember Mammoth movies. My family, we always rented from Rogers Home Video. We weren't really a Blockbuster family. Went to Rogers Home Video just because it was a little closer. That was the go-to movie store for us. It was Blockbuster, and then I mean, yeah, here in Ontario, we got The Beat Goes On, which is the used movie and music store, which is great. I love it. And I feel like because movies are so much more accessible, music is so much more accessible, most of the people who go to The Beat Goes On are a bit more snobby. Because the people who are a bit less snobby wouldn't spend that time to go out and search for physical media. They just find it online. And so I feel like if I've ever had conversations with people at that store, they were definitely we're both snobs, and we both understand that. And we can both, go on with our days and have conversations about that. So, but I mean, yeah, the early 2000s vibe in this was great. Movie stores, they're getting phased out. They might go extinct one day. And I mean, yeah, I think my general points I've kind of gone over. He is a bit annoying, but at the same time, the meta commentary on everything, it was just so fun. I would highly recommend it, especially because it's a local filmmaker. Near me specifically in Ontario, but yeah. Once when I was working at the library, somebody asked me for a movie recommendation. I told them to watch Troll Hunter. Nice. I haven't seen Troll Hunter, but I have had it recommended to me. But that's funny. Yeah, that's funny because, I don't know, I may have even said to you before, in my Letterboxd top 4, I have this movie, Cure. And I try to tell everybody I know to watch it because I love it. But it's a pretentious, slow burn Japanese crime movie. And that just speaks for itself. I'm part of this problem. This I like movies problem. If I were working at that store, this would be on my staff's pick shelf. And people would come in and be like, oh, what's this? And I would just go on, be like, oh, yes, this guy, Kiyoshi Kurosawa, he's great. He's one of my favorite directors, Japanese, he does these slow burn, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny also. I guess I can kind of relate to the movie store aesthetic already because I work at a theater and we have our name tags. And then you're supposed to say your favorite movie under your name tag. And I mean, because I'm a snob, I've had debates about this with myself and I've told other people. I mean, my favorite movie is Star Wars, of course, but that's so basic. I don't want to put Star Wars on my name tag. I kind of want to show that I'm a little pretentious, right? Because Star Wars is just so mainstream. And then there's a movie that was on my top 4 there that I really like by Taika Waititi called Boy. But then I don't want to put boy on my name tag because it's going to say my name and then just boy. It's like my pronouns, and I'm just identifying as boy. And that would just look funny. I mean, it might be a conversation starter, and it kind of is funny. It kind of would be a funny one. And then also, I think Cure is a little too pretentious, that people would see it and be like, oh, I don't even want to know. That's just like completely, don't want to know. You do you, watch your Japanese movie. So I settled with Raising Arizona, which I feel like some people might have heard of. And then when people talk to me about it, I always say, oh yeah, it's this Coen Brothers movie with Nicolas Cage stealing a baby. That's my go-to line. I say, oh, it's the movie where Nicolas Cage steals a baby. You remember it? And then some people are like, oh yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah, it was great. Or some people are like, what? I didn't know that existed. That's crazy. I feel like it's just like it kind of like thread that line of pretentious. A lot of people might not know it to kind of show that I'm pretentious, but then people might have heard of it because Nick Cage, I mean, Coen Brothers as well, mainstream. Just say, favorite movie, boy. People just have movie titles under their names without saying why. But that is how it is. Yeah, we do just have our names and then a movie title under their name. I guess that is a theater thing, I feel like people have been doing that for a long time. But specifically, if it just says boy, it would be like, oh, okay, you're a boy? Okay. What would be another funny one? Or I like movies would be a funny one, actually. You say your name and just I like movies, and people like don't know if that's actually a title of a movie or not. What would be like the supreme one to put under your name? Like just like the funniest one out there. I don't know. That's hard to think of just like randomly, just like a random movie that would work really well. Wait, let me see. Does the director Chandler Levac is she like active here? Like what's going on here? Recent activity. Okay, recent enough. August. Of course, gotta love the Barbie movie. What'd you say about Barbie movie? Oh, little blurb. Reviewed this joint for the Globe and Mail. Sheesh. Why did I relate the most to the emotional arc of Ken? Didn't we all? Wait, what are her favorites? Almost Famous, The Apartment, Arturo a los 30, About 30, and Tony Erdmann. I haven't heard of these two. It's in Spanish. Comedy of Errors revolves around a hapless 30-year-old named Arturo. His penchant for indiscretions. Yes, I did read that right. Is as impossible to overlook as the finesse with which the film guides from March 2020 to the preceding decade and back again. I don't know what that means. But okay. I'm sure it's good. 3.6. Not too shabby. Not many views. I feel like every person on their top 4, again, psychoanalyzing Letterboxd users, has like a mainstream one that they really like, maybe a niche one that everybody's heard of. They got to have an obscure foreign film, and then like an even more, boy, isn't that obscure. Maybe just like a filmmaker's early project. That's just me. I'm sure like everyone has like falls into a few categories here. Because honestly, when I did make my top 4, I kind of was like, I'm putting Cure on here because, got to put a foreign movie on there. Sheesh. I mean, I guess this is New Zealand as well. Boys, New Zealand. But maybe I should diversify it even more. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't have at least one like Hollywood movie, then people will be like, "Oh, you're too pretentious." You're not fun. You're not fun at all. You just hate happiness and you just want your depressing foreign movies. But yeah, I'd recommend this movie quite a bit. It's pretty fun. It's enjoyable.